25th, 2020, regular meeting. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilman Delarada.
Here.
Councilwoman Jakewith.
Here.
Councilwoman McGraw. Here. Councilman McPartlin, absent. Supervisor Syed.
Here. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance to be led by Councilwoman Jakewith.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now we're going to move on to approval of the minutes. First, we have the minutes of the January 28th, 2020 regular meeting. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Thank you. Do I have a second? I will second. Are there any changes to these minutes? You seeing no changes? All those in favor of these minutes signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? And these minutes are approved. Next, we have the minutes of the February 11, 2020 special meeting. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you. Do I have a second? I will second. Are there any changes to these minutes? Seeing no changes, all those in favor signified by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And those minutes are also approved. We're going to move on to privilege of the floor. Privilege of the floor is now open. If anyone would like to speak, we ask that you approach the lectern, state your name and address for the record.
I'm sorry, can I just say one thing? It's just a point of personal privilege or a courtesy that can be extended to me. I have somewhere else to go tonight. So if folks can just, in some way, just be a little shorter or a little more concise so everybody can speak, and I don't miss anything. I have to do Bill's report for him. Obviously, Bill's got a lot going on right now. I just don't want to miss anything. But thank you.
Thank you, Denise. I will try to be brief, as difficult as it may be. I'm here, I want to talk about just two issues. The first one, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on. Excuse me?
State your name for the record.
Oh, I'm
please, ma'am.
sorry. Linda Rizzo, 2229 Fairlawn Parkway, Niskayuna. The first one, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on, but it's over the dog census. My second issue is the budget deficit. That's more important, obviously. But anyway, I have some concerns about it. And briefly, this is what my concerns are. I'm here both tonight as a professional and a resident. I know public policy, I've developed it. I know legislation, I've written it in the New York State Senate when I did my internship. I've been involved in PL 94-142 when it was implemented. I've been on joint committees, legislative committees, et cetera, bipartisan. I don't have a problem with dogs being licensed. I am a great dog owner. I love dogs. I've just dropped over $2,000 on a puppy that I rescued from the Amish. And when I say rescued, I paid over $2,000 for him. My thing has nothing to do with that. It had to do with the dog census coming out with a note at the bottom. I don't even have a problem filling out whether I'm a dog owner or not a dog owner. That the dog catcher, or I shouldn't say dog catcher, that's the dog warden, will be going house to house after this is over, giving court tickets out and fines to residents. Now, I did speak to Michelle about it. I'm not upset with Michelle. I differ with her on it. To my mind, we've never done a dog census, nor have we ever stated or enforced the fact of the dog warden going from place to place, ringing doorbells randomly. This has budgetary consequences because there's no way a part-time dog warden can do this. This was not thought out well. He's either got to become full-time or he has to have an assistant. Now, with the budget deficit, I would not think we would want to be putting dog wardens full-time or hiring assistants for them. My point is, it should have gone, my belief, and I did discuss this with Michelle, this should have gone to the full board. This is policy. I spoke to Alexis, very sweet girl, nice, very nice. This is public policy. When you implement something new, like a dog census, 2 or 3 people can't know about it, and the rest of the board know nothing. And the only thing I could gather, I talked to Bill. Bill told me that he hardly paid attention to this, and this is before his dad died, because his dad was seriously ill. Well, of course, I could care less about a dog census if I was losing a parent. I understand that. And he said if this hadn't been going on, I was correct, he should have brought it for the full board. So I'm being told, now correct me if I'm wrong. Allegedly, I'm being told that the supervisor knew about it. The councilwoman Jackwith was at the committee, I was told. I'm just telling you what I was told. You were at the committee where this was brought up. Well, that's what Michelle told me. Then I was told that your assistant knew about it, Brian, and that he doesn't even have his dogs registered. Now, this is what I've been told. That's all well and good. I don't have a problem with that. I have a problem that it wasn't brought to the full board. The full board should have looked at it and decided, should this be voted on? Should this be amendment? And then gave their blessing to Michelle, because the town clerk cannot develop public policy, nor can she legislate. She's got enough duties. So that's all I'm saying on it. And I would ask this town board to look at this and to decide, because if you have no teeth in this, why did we spend all this money sending papers out, sending this a mass mailing to everybody in the community? There are people that threw it out. I know tons of people that threw it out because they don't own a dog. I know people that have dog license that threw it out. And their comment was, let the dog warden come to my door. It's going to get slammed in his face if he thinks he's going to issue me a court ticket or a fine with the taxes I'm paying in Niskayuna. Now, if this was an election year, I really don't think this type of thing would have gone out. Okay, and that's all I'm going to say about it. But I would ask the board to look at this and to decide what you want to do. Finito on that. The next topic is the budget.
If I could comment really quickly, Linda. We did discuss it and it was approved in Public Safety Committee. It did go to Finance Committee. It was discussed, but it is the town clerk within her purview to send out a dog census. And since it has been sent out, we have had 100 new licenses issued with another 150 waiting to go, if I'm correct.
I'm still saying.
So it has been a successful effort.
Okay, but I'm
And we
still,
won't have the dog warden going door to door, can assure that.
you're not going to.
No,
Well, then why is it in the letter?
I don't believe it was.
Yes, it is. I think you should read the letter, Yasmin. It's in the letter that he's going to go door to door randomly, issuing court tickets, etc. And you should know what's in that since you're supervisor. And you approved it.
It's
Now,
a repetition of the law. It's
No,
not
it says
necessarily that
that
our
in,
dog
it said-
warden is
I
going
don't
door
have
to
it
door.
here. It says, once the survey is complete, I have a very good memory. I don't need it in front of me. The dog warden will be going door to door, making random checks and issuing court fines and tickets. That says it there at the bottom.
That's a reiteration of the law. But again, we can continue this conversation afterwards if you would like
Okay,
to.
but my point is, it is public policy, and committees, I'm sorry, do not have a right. They can recommend public policy to the board. They can approve that it be sent to the board. But committees, employees do not have a right to set public policy, nor does any board chair. That's not their role. A board member going to those committees has no more power than I do. You guys have no power at all until you're sitting at that table. That's law. That also applies to school boards of education. So I would accept, Yasmin, look at it, but you are incorrect. That is stated there. Now I want to move on to another topic because I know Denise has a lot on her plate right now. My next topic is the budget. And I'm very, very concerned about this. Very concerned. We have a deficit in the budget. It's called, it's a structural deficit of $800,000 to $1 million. That's, in layman's terms, you're in a hole, $800,000 to $1 million. We have never had, I don't remember us having a deficit where we had to use fund balance to fill the gap. Now, I'm going to say something about this because this is my expertise. When you have a deficit and you use fund balance, yes, you're filling the gap in for that year, but you are not solving the problem because the next year it rolls over and you are adopting another structurally unsound budget, which means a $800,000 or $1 million deficit could wind up being $2 million. The only way you can correct it, and you have to correct it in this budget. Now, it's your responsibility as supervisor, but it's also the board's responsibility. They have fiduciary powers here to make sure that you correct it. They have to. That's their responsibility. You either have to raise taxes. You have two ways of correcting this. You raise taxes or you make cuts. You cannot use fund balance to resolve a deficit because it's like a tumbleweed. And believe me, I went through hell with the deficit and a very large organization. I know exactly what I'm talking about. And this is my concern. Either you cut, because if you come back and want to raise taxes, $1 million deficit, and Paul Sebesta can correct me if I'm wrong, could easily cost a 5 to 6% tax increase to fill in the gap. Maybe, 6 or 7 or 8. We can't afford this in this town. Our school district taxes are out of sight. I live in a $1,600 square foot house, a nice house. I pay $2,900 something $89 in town taxes. If it weren't for Star, I'd be paying $4,200. That's obscene. It's more than what, it's unbelievable. So you cannot go out and raise taxes because you've got a school district who is now, and it's my opinion, they spend money like it was, growing on all the trees in Niskayuna. And they're just picking it off the trees. I've never heard the school board talk about taxpayers. Oh, we can't burden our taxpayers. No, they never mention that. Their comment is, and school board member, well, we understand that people that are on a fixed income, and we have seniors here that are on a fixed income. Well, they can't, they couldn't afford that. Maybe we should have apartments. What? I heard that at the League of Women Voters, and I told Bill McPartland that was my Marie Antoinette moment. Let them eat cake. I have never heard a school board member talk in defense of taxpayers. That's why, and no offense, I don't even know you personally, Rosemarie. You're probably a lovely person, but that's why I'm opposed to school board members working in your and here in town hall as your assistant, running for school board. For that reason, there should be a year's waiting period because they cater to a certain group of people, and it isn't the special education parents. Believe me, that I know. They're not bending over backwards, spending thousands of dollars on special ed kids. I know that personally. But that's not only in Niskayuna, that's in other districts. So my point, and I'm saying this firmly, you've got to resolve this before the next budget, and you've got to make cuts. You cannot possibly be raising school taxes. And Yasmin, I supported you and I like you, but if you don't do those cuts and you don't get that budget under control, then the board has to do something. It's their fiduciary responsibility. They voted against it, and I did not understand why. Now I do. I would never have voted for, you can't vote for a budget that has a deficit with, we'll fill it with the fund balance. And I'm going to say this straight out. Anyone who thinks that's the way to balance a budget shouldn't be let near a budget. I'm concerned as a taxpayer. And I'm not living mouth to mouth, week to week. And I'm having, I resent those taxes, especially the school district taxes. The town I tolerate because they do a lot and they really haven't raised it that much. I think my town taxes went up maybe $1,000 in 15 years. That's minuscule. But the school district, I mean, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And when the last guy ran for superintendent, God bless him, he came to my door, the superintendent of schools, he was running, and he said to me, do you have any complaints? I said, yeah, the school district taxes. Well, hey, the voters keep voting for it. It's their problem. Really? That's all I'm going to say. Have a nice evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Privilege of the floor is still open if anyone else would like to speak.
Hi. To all of you. My name is Richard Oden, O-D-E-N Jr. I live at 36 Ray Street, Niskayuna.
I know your house well. It's beautiful. I know your neighbors. I couldn't figure out how I knew you. I've been to your door. So yep.
Okay. I'm here asking for help.
Okay.
And that help is regarding my neighbor. She purchased 2 puppies about a year and a half, 2 years ago. They grew. Now they're dogs, if you understand. She has a fence around her property, and she lets them go. She never told us or never discussed it with us that they were outside dogs. And they keep up with a lot of noise. That's what dogs do. My help is that a lot of things has happened because of those dogs. They are 18-7. They bark all day long. She is never home. She owns 2 businesses. When the authority came out and talked to her, she said that they were for protection of her daughter. She has a 13-year-old daughter. She's never home. So what is she protecting? Then she told them she was leaving, but she opened up another business. So how can you leave and own 2 businesses at the same time? I brought with me, and hopefully, I don't know how to work this thing too well, but
What street is it again, Mr.
Ray.
Walden?
Ray Street.
It's behind the parking lot to the church there.
Thank you.
Uh,
Sir, I'll drive by tomorrow if you can't find. You're going to play us a recording of them barking?
yes.
I'll drive by tomorrow. I know just where he lives across from Nikki Rosemary.
Yeah, he's in the red house. I know.
Yeah, the beautiful house there. Yep, and then we'll talk, you heard a lot of talk about the dog warden. We'll talk to the building folks. How's that? And I'll follow up. I'll knock on your door again later this week. How's that?
That sounds great.
Yeah, Coach, we'll take care of it.
Okay, that sounds good. I will. I'll be coming back. Checking on it.
We count on it.
We look forward to it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks again.
I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Privilege of the floor is still open if anyone else would like to speak.
Hi,
Sure.
Garrett Rossetti, 32 Ray Street. Richard's
Okay.
Neighbor. Same issue, that
Okay.
other neighbor's dogs. Is there any kind of ordinance or any kind of rule to a dog barking 24/7? The dogs are outside.
There it is.
Okay,
So,
sorry.
sir, we do have an ordinance that I've tried to prosecute over the years, and it's a difficult ordinance to prosecute because the language of the ordinance requires some continuous period of,
I'm
Barking.
listening, sir. Yeah,
so
Well-
we have an ordinance
I
and
got video of these dogs barking for hours at a time. Not a minute, 10 minutes, hours.
then that's the type of proof that we need. We usually don't get that.
1:30, 2 o'clock, 5 o'clock Sunday morning.
So if you can provide that sort of evidence and contact me, because I'm the person that prosecutes these complaints in town court.
Okay. The other thing is like, now, the town, the game warden, a very nice gentleman, nothing bad about him. I've called the police. I got friends. I grew up here. I've been born here since 74. I got friends in the police department. We're not really friends no more because I called too many times for these dogs, but nothing was done.
So my suggestion
I
is,
understand what you said. I just want to hear my side.
Yeah.
I just had surgery, liver transplant.
then contact me.
but every time the police go over, nothing's done, or she's not home. So I'm gonna in a nice way. I don't mean to be rude. I'm gonna contact you and we'll follow up.
But
Um,
video or audio recordings would be great to have. Not now, but
I got him.
in the courtroom.
Yes, no, I wasn't gonna do it now. There's a lot of people here who have got a lot of good issues.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'm just gonna write Paul Brick.
Paul Briggs.
Yeah.
372-5689 is my office number. 372-5689.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Briggs. I appreciate
You're
your
welcome.
help. Do you know the same person had 256 chickens at her house one time?
That's how I know your neighborhood so well.
Do you know the same person had roosters, ducks, geese? I'm sorry, not about the geese, but there was, didn't she have a?
Beehives and honeycombs.
Well, the beehive killed my dad, yeah, but that's another issue.
Right.
The goat. The rooster was what got me when I was a teenager. Well, did you have a rooster problem? Thank you.
Thank you both very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Briggs.
Rich, you have my contact information still, right? Rich, you have my contact information still? If not-
Rosemarie.
Yeah.
I just want to, this is regarding the dog that says that unprovoked barking, howling, or making any other noise continuously. And it goes on to say for 15 minutes. Then it says, at a volume which could be heard anywhere beyond the keeper property line, and which disturbed the comfort and repose of any person in that area. For the purpose of this subsection, continuously shall mean constant without any period of silence which exceed 30 seconds. This is, and this was amended 10/1/1996. So nothing has been done since then regarding the noise and the dogs.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and we also have neighbors the street over that we talked to. So that's another.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you, gentlemen. Thank you.
Lorene Zabin, 2455 Brookshire Drive. In trying to declutter, as is a good practice, I came across some minutes of town board meeting just a couple of years ago, and it seemed that the day after organization meeting, when we had a town board meeting, guess what? We had bonding. So bonding has become a very favorite pastime of items that were never put on a budget, that I didn't feel were emergency kinds of expenditures. And I thought that was the rule of bonding. It had to be something exceptional. It couldn't be just because highway needed a new truck or so-and-so needed a new phone system. And I resent the fact that I believe minutes, it was either the January 28th meeting. What did we have? We had a huge bonding issue for several bonds. One was $800,000 for, was it our sewer and water, or was it just the water? Well, whatever it was, we have spent millions of dollars on our sewer and water facility. Now, Denise, it's not your fault. I know you're not out there. But every time I'm roaming around Niskayuna, there's a street sign, road closed, water main break, this is wrong, sewer breaks.
I know.
These are not old subdivisions like Leishakill Road, where the pipes were so close to the surface. Those were all the excuses we had for these water main breaks. And the fact is that we should open up our own highway department and rent trucks out. It seems every other month we're buying something. And I don't quite understand that. I would think our fleet would be the best in our five towns here. We certainly have the most expensive directors of our departments. And when you talk about bonding and you talk about things that are going to be paid in our future, I don't think you're paying attention. I don't always agree with everyone that speaks, and I do know that there are special things that we have to buy and emergencies. But I just want you to know that I'm watching this bonding of materials and things that you claim are so emergency items that we will be paying 20 years of interest. And frankly, I didn't know that we were so in debt as to our debt. And because there was some sort of conflict, we now didn't pass a budget and we had to go back to the preliminary budget. Well, unfortunately, we don't pay much attention because we assume that whatever is in that is going to be part of our regular budget items. So maybe I wasn't paying enough attention to the budget. And frankly, you're the smarties. You get elected. You're the ones that do this. And I'm very, very upset about this because as a senior, I do have some privilege as to being a senior, and I appreciate that. But I don't for people that want to come here. And as far as the school board, I will never understand the conflict between a person who could not resign for 3 or 4 months, whatever the case may be. It didn't mean that we had to have a new election for the school board. It had to be a question of priorities. And I think if you're, and as much as I appreciate the new council person for attending all of the meetings, which she has graciously done at 8 a.m. or 6 p.m. or whenever it is, and I'm sure, you know, with not only having responsibility to the school, to the town, to her family, I didn't choose that for her. She chose it for her. And then when we came up, because I got that letter on the dogs, I've never had a dog in Niskayuna. I've had dogs on either side of me that barked from morning to when they came home from business. And we do have a terrible dog ordinance as far as noise is concerned. But it's a human thing. It's very hard to tell your neighbor, hey, you know, that dog is bothering me all day. On the other hand, I want to congratulate our supervisor on her marriage, and good luck to you. This certainly, I think, is the first in the town of Niskayuna. I mean, from 1806, I don't remember anybody that was the supervisor, an elected official getting elected.
Yeah,
So
right.
congratulations.
It's really great. It
Oh,
is.
thank you.
And it's a wonderful thing. You can tell your grandchildren about that.
Yeah, exactly.
I know if people don't know that Mr. McPartlin father has passed away, so I'm sure you want to get to but one last thing. Public hearings always had a time, and they were normally at 7:00. And we don't have, now you're having privilege of the floor before you have 3 public hearings. Now, I have to assume people came here to speak at the public hearing and not listen to the dribble from the rest of us. But the fact is, I don't know why that was changed or if there's any reason is it because of a time frame here?
No,
But public hearings were always
Yeah.
scheduled and published for 7:00, weren't they? Yeah. So I was just kind of curious because
I think it was just a draft. You're making a good point. I think it was just a drafting
It was
issue on
just
the
a- oh,
agenda.
okay.
And I
All right.
know, because we've had the public hearings first, and then people want to talk about something else during the public. You're absolutely right.
Okay. Thank you very much. And I am sorry this board is running into happy and sad all at the same time. So thank you.
Thank you.
Fran Leary, I own property in Van Antwerp Road, and I live on Eastern Parkway. Back when there was an article in the paper about increase in taxes, and my first reaction, had been out of recognition due to a house fire and a bang on the head and stuff like that. And I thought, well, maybe it's just me, but my feeling when I saw that article was there's got to be some place we can complain about it because it was an outrageous amount of change. And if it weren't for Linda just speaking about it, I probably wouldn't have thought to say something to you. But there's got to be some place where we as citizens can express something. I mean, do we send a letter to your board saying, this is outrageous. Could you take another look at this? There's got to be some way that we can complain so that we don't feel as though we're being used. Thank you.
Thank you. And you can absolutely always send a letter to any one of us or all of us. And just like you did, always
Same here.
express your concerns during privilege of the floor. So we thank you for doing
We
that.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Separate question.
Sure.
One quick question. It's about taxes.
Name and address, please.
Sorry, Garrett Rossetti, 32 Ray Street, Niskiuna. The not so pretty house.
I
Um,
didn't say that.
No, I'm just having fun. I'm just trying to make it light. Sorry. I don't mean anything bad. My question was, there is a huge number of people who are homeschooling. But yet, if you live in a town, you're still paying that full hit of school taxes. Plus, you are buying your own curriculum. Is there going to be any change or any kind of help or some kind of program for people who do this?
You should probably take that issue to the school board. It's not a town issue.
Okay, it's new,
Yeah.
so I happen to be here tonight
Yeah.
about,
I know the answer and I can talk to you about it afterwards, but otherwise you direct it to the school board. I'm happy to talk to you afterwards.
okay, thank you
Okay.
very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Privilege of the floor is still open if anyone else would like to speak.
John Lemelin, 1106 Glen Meadow Court. I was reminded to be nice, so I'll promise to be nice and also be quick. But I do have a couple things I just want to say. I've been before you in the past, and I appreciate your time. Two or three things, they're all good. First, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I think what you guys do for the town, for what you're being paid, for the criticisms and the critiques, I sincerely thank you for what you're doing for this town. And I know everyone's best interest is to serve, and that's wonderful. And I wish Bill were here to hear me say that. One thing I wanted to mention is I haven't had a chance to go to very many committee meetings, but for those in the audience who haven't had a chance to go, I did go to one a week or so ago as the Police and Safety Committee meeting. It was a really interesting process for me. It was a full house. We had the supervisor as well as Councilman McPartland there. I found the meeting very well run, very professional, and I want to call out Chief McManus and his group in the Niskuna Police Department. They are obviously a big part of that committee meeting. They're talking about issues that come up at privilege of the floor. They're talking about letters that were written by citizens. For me, it was a very interesting meeting. As a citizen, as a taxpayer, I loved it because it was good government. So I think that was great. And I think the chief is taking actions. The road sign I just saw on Rosendale, I think, which shows how fast you're going, and the other things that the police department is doing to help the speeding issue. So I think that's worth a call out. The last quick thing, and I don't know if this is appropriate or not, but I do want to call out Jeff Wilkin. The Schenectady Gazette has been a wonderful partner for this town. They've written, and he has personally written articles. He's always here. I always look forward to my Niskuna. There's always great articles, and it's usually his byline. So I think he gets some credit for helping us as a town too. So that's it.
Hear, hear.
Thanks.
Thank you. Agreed.
Oh, wow, we're
You got
clapping for
some
Jeff
questions.
tonight.
Privilege of the floor is still open if anyone else would like to speak. And last call on privilege of the floor. If you'd like to speak, do so now. Seeing no one left willing to speak, I'm going to close privilege of the floor, and we are going to move into our first public hearing. Will the clerk please call the first public hearing?
A public hearing on proposed local law to amend Chapter 151 of the Code of the Town of Niskuna entitled Peddlers and Solicitors.
Thank you. And that first public hearing is now open if you would like to speak. And if you would like to speak during this public hearing, you can do so now. And last call on the first public hearing. If you would like to speak, you can do so now. Seeing no one willing to speak, I'm going to close the first public hearing. Will the clerk please call the second public hearing?
A public hearing on proposed local law to amend Chapter 203 of the Code of the Town of Niskuna entitled Vehicle and Traffic to prohibit parking on the corner of Schwaber Drive and Balltown Road.
Thank you. The second public hearing is now open if you would like to speak.
Leslie Gold, 1919 Pawtucket Avenue. One would think this particular piece of legislation wouldn't be necessary, that people would have more sense than to park that close to an intersection like that, but apparently it's needed. I do question whether it needs to be the 175 feet distance, but certainly it needs to be several car lengths, because otherwise it just makes it very difficult to navigate, especially in winter.
Thank you. And the second public hearing is still open if you would like to speak. Last call on the second public hearing. If you would like to speak, do so now. Seeing no one left willing to speak, I'm going to close the second public hearing. Will the clerk please call the third public hearing?
A public hearing on proposed special use permit for conversion of a multifamily residential building at 2220 Crescent Road to a mixed-use building.
Thank you. And the third public hearing is now open if you would like to speak.
Okay. I'm Gail King. I live at 1633 Balltown Road. I have an office at 2215 Knott Street. I'm requesting permission to have a cosmetology electrolysis permanent hair removal business at 2220 Crescent Road. Reason for the request is because of the many months of proposed construction and permanently reduced parking due to the addition of another lane and sidewalk on the south side of Knott Street. The digging down 8 to 10 feet at 2 feet from the front of the business's doors on the north side to replace water, sewer, and gas lines, 6 sets, which we will probably get a bill for, and realign the 10 feet drop from Balltown to Clifton Park Road, making it inconvenient, hazardous, and almost impossible for customers to reach my existing office. And so then it made lemonade. The good news is the proposed new location is a first floor office that will be easy to access, quiet, private, with parking. This property is zoned ZN. Gail King Electrolysis is an existing business and I think a good neighbor for many years. The additional parking near the access road will be delegated to 2220 Crescent Road and the rear of 2215 Knott Street. Owner Gail and Robert King. 2215 Knott Street will benefit from the control and retention of snow and stormwater at 2220 Crescent Road. Thank you.
Thank you. The third public hearing is still open if anyone would like to speak.
Lorene Zabin, 2455 Brookshire Drive. I'm here to support Mrs. King, and hopefully the board will grant her special use permit. You know, special use permit doesn't sound very personal, but I think the person that is applying for it should be recognized in the town of Niskiuna as a businesswoman, a resident, a longtime resident, a promoter of the town, has been generous in contributions to the parking of the co-op area. And through no fault of hers, she's had to try to save her business. And by doing that and keeping it in a location that was going to be serviceable to her clients and still have her be part of the community, she has purchased this building. I think there's 4 apartments there. And someone was here complaining about, kind of having a commercial zone. Well, I've got one little fine, quick story for you. And it was named Gifts by Zelda. Well, Zelda happened to be, this was going back a long time, but she lived on Rosendale Road. And she had a family room where she had a display. This was her exemption, a display of gifts. Now, she said, because it was brought to the board as a condition, that she said, oh, no, they only came in and picked something out, and then we'd order it, and then it would be sent to the home. Well, of course, that was a lot of malarkey. Well, anyway, so we've had businesses in town, and there's some are still here that operate out of their home that are not legal. Now, they must have devoted clients because we don't have a lot of concern. I could probably tell you about a few of them, but I'm not going to tattle. Well, anyway, but I think when I hear that always stuck in my mind, Gifts by Zelda. But when I see someone that comes through what you have to do to get permission to stay alive, have a business, earn a living, and the procedures, I think sometimes are daunting. Mrs. King has been to I don't know how many meetings and trying to tell you people, the planning board, the zoning board, whatever, that this is a good thing. And I think that anyone that moves into the apartments will realize that this business is not a, how should I say, a glue factory. It's one client to one operator. So hopefully you will grant her this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Martha Larnigan, and I am a resident of Burn Hills at 23 Lamar Lane. And I've known Gail as a friend and a businesswoman for a number of years. And I couldn't tell you what a wonderful woman she is. She pays her taxes. She's a very good businesswoman. I've never seen anything out of order in her facilities. And I know that she looks after her customers. And I just can't say how much I appreciate what she does for the community of Niskiuna. She's like the heart of Niskiuna to me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And the last public hearing is still open if anyone would like to speak. Last call on the 3rd public hearing. If you would like to speak, do so now. Seeing no one left willing to speak, I'm going to close the 3rd public hearing. We're going to move on to our committee reports. We're going to begin with Councilwoman Jakewith.
Thank you, Supervisor. Before reporting on committee business, we'd all like to offer our congratulations to the supervisor and her husband, Matt, on their recent wedding. We wish you all much happiness. We'd also like to offer our condolences to our colleague that's been mentioned, Councilman McPartlin, whose father just passed away. There was a lovely and very well-attended funeral this morning, and our thoughts and prayers are with Bill and his family as they grieve this loss. We'd also like to offer our condolences to our town staff members, Lori Peretti and Michelle Carroll, who recently lost their brother. Again, know that our thoughts and prayers are with you and your families, Lori. The Highway and Parks and Recreation Committee met on February 5th. In an effort to increase consistency, transparency, and accountability, we'll be taking up bylaws later this meeting, I hope, that address the operation of legislative committee meetings, including the posting of agendas and minutes. In accordance with those proposed bylaws, the draft minutes of our February 5th meeting are posted on the website, and those and all final meeting minutes and agendas will continue to be available for all to review there. In addition to the items we discussed at our February 5th meeting, our Highway Superintendent Ray Smith wanted me to report that the highway crews continue to trim trees, patch potholes, and conduct drainage repairs. During the month of February, highway crews have plowed 4 different days, times, and sanded 4 different days, times. They're also working on tentative paving list and other spring projects. This issue came up at our February 5th committee meeting. I ran into John Lemlin on the way in here, and we talked about the fact that that is where, these conversations happen. It makes agenda meetings make more sense when you do attend these meetings. These things are discussed. So anyway, at that meeting, I was asked to remind folks that basketball hoops need to be removed from town right-of-ways so that plows may properly care for our roads. I'm also happy to report that as of yesterday, Schenectady County has provided us with a speed sign, which John mentioned, which is currently located at the eastern end of Rosendale Road. It was a collaborative effort once again, and we'd like to thank our county legislators, Tom Constantine, Michelle Osterlich, and Sarah Mae Pratt, in addition to our highway department, Ray Smith, and as well as our police department, Dan McManus, for getting this speed sign up and running. It's a great team effort. Park crews have been doing some brush cutting and stump removal at the disc golf course, together with some brush work along the bike path. They're also working on some equipment refurbishing and maintenance of parks equipment. Spring soccer registration is open until March 31st. The program is for grades K through 5 and will run for 4 weeks, Mondays and Wednesdays, starting April 27th. Lori and her staff are otherwise very busy preparing for summer programs and the summer program book. Thank you so much, Lori. I visited the senior center this past week on Thursday and met some of our senior residents as well as staff, and was able to observe the dedicated service of our staff. I'd like to thank Lori Peretti and Linda O'Brien and all the staff at the senior center for all they do for our residents and for hosting my visit. The next Highway Parks and Recreation meeting will be on March 4th at 5 p.m., and we'd love for you to join us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're going to move on to Councilman Delarada.
Thank you, Supervisor and Councilwoman Jakewith. We next meet on March 6th, and I was not able to be at the last Economic Development Committee meeting. I do want to thank Councilwoman McGraw for chairing that. Fortunately, we are gearing up for another busy season, but there's not an incredibly lot going on right now. However, the Jewish Holocaust Memorial did receive final site plan approval, so that is pretty big. And the Knott's Landing West building right across from the ShopRite Plaza is going to start with construction this spring. So there are a couple of big things going on. I do want to comment on what Mr. Lemelin said. I'm very glad that he was able to attend that committee meeting, and we do try to get citizens as much as possible to attend these committee meetings, because that really is where the nuts and bolts of government are performed. So the more that citizens can attend those committee meetings, the more input they're going to have, and the more they're going to be able to structure the agenda and have influence on their community. So we do hope that all are able to attend. I know mine can be difficult. It's at 8:15 on a Friday morning, but hopefully anybody that can come right here at the Schaefer Center at the Town Hall. And I do want to thank Ms. Murphy McGraw again. If there was anything I missed, please do add. I know there were some things that we might have added late on, but please feel free. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll now move on to Councilwoman McGraw.
Thank you, Supervisor, and thank you, Councilman Delarada. The Public Works Committee has obviously been very busy this time of year. When the weather cooperates, a lot of maintenance goes into this time of year and keeping things moving. We're very pleased that one of our employees will be getting a promotion. We'll be doing that to a sewer maintenance worker. We'll be doing some routine maintenance and painting to the pump stations as we're moving along throughout the late winter into spring. They're also working to secure some new private hydrant maintenance agreements. There's a number of hydrants throughout the town that are just on private property. Obviously, we need to maintain them. We need to have access to them, but that's always an ongoing issue for us. The water treatment plant, which we talk a lot about around here, they had, the wastewater treatment plant, I meant to say. We had our annual DEC inspection at the end of last month. It went very, very well. DEC is very pleased with all of the upgrades that have taken place, the things that are happening there, and the direction that we are moving there. We got very good feedback from DEC about the current state of our wastewater treatment plant. We're beginning some work on one of the dryers to make things even more efficient over there. I am very pleased that at our water treatment plant, Josh Walters, who has been a longtime employee, has been recommended for a promotion to a senior plant operator. He is one of those guys that helps this town work and work well. So I am very pleased about that. Our transfer station and our landfill, which I talked a lot about at last month's meeting, we are looking to do a lot of work over there, get that old water and sewer building, public works building down from over in our middle of our park. We're moving forward with that. We've been doing some of our annual monitoring with the Department of Environmental Conservation and submitting those. Our waste collection reports, things like that. But we're also going to be working to, once we get that building down, just try to improve the look and the feel of our recycling facility. We did some work over there about 8 years ago, thanks to a citizens committee that helped. We've been improving and upgrading and making clearer brochures about our recycling facility, trying to get greater access. We're going to do our annual semi-annual recycling day. We've been doing it here at Town Hall. We're going to move it over to the recycling center because we want people to see our recycling center, especially people who are interested in the issue and they care enough to come over and bring over their whether it's paper to be shredded or their old TVs and things like that. So that's what's going on there. Our next committee meeting is on next Thursday, the 5th at 8:00 at upstairs in the Schaefer Room. I'm also going to give the report for Bill McPartlin. As a number of people have mentioned, Dr. McPartlin died over the weekend. It was a beautiful funeral this morning. Thank you for mentioning that, Councilwoman Jakewith. I think so many people in this family know and like the McPartlin family, not just us sitting up here. I mean, they're just staples of our community, and this is a tremendous loss for our community. Mr. Lemlin did a great job reporting what happened at Public Works, so he saved me a lot of work here, and we can keep moving on. But some of the things that took place, there was a report from the chief about a grant for mandated fingerprinting equipment that's been filed. Some opportunities for grant opportunities for police officers. There was some discussion, as was at John's Economic Development Committee, about what's happening with the Holocaust Memorial, next steps, how they would need some traffic assistance from time to time, things like that. But we're far away off on that. The speed sign, we've heard a lot about that speed sign on Rosendale Road. Nobody's happier about that than I am. And I know certainly Mr. McPartlin is as well. Speeding on Dean Street continues to be an issue for all of us, not just the Public Safety Committee. There's genuine interest in that issue, and we hear it every day around here. There's been some equipment that's been ordered and upgraded over there. Cars, vehicles are the name of the game with those guys, and getting some new ones. We're going to update some of the security around here in this building. So we're moving forward on that. The parking lot seems to have been plowed and continues to be plowed. And so everybody is very pleased about that. Our employees take very seriously the matter of training and how they do their job. And we're sending a few folks out for training. We had 5 people come and speak at Citizens Matters during the Public Safety Committee meeting, and it was everything from, wanting to talk a little bit more about traffic enforcement, but also the farmers market, and lighted crosswalks also continue to be an ongoing issue for River Road, for Rosendale Road. So that came up during the meeting, and then some more speeding in addition to that. I know a lot of people really loved the food truck rodeo that we had last September. That's going to be back again. September 20th will be the date, and we're moving forward on that. And they're doing some planning, and they're working very hard on that. Winter parking rules are still into effect until the end of March. Even when there's no snow out there, please, we never know when it's going to come. The dog census was discussed. I've read it right here. The dog census was discussed during Bill's meeting. Michelle Martinelli was there to talk about it, and there was also some conversation about the chip readers for the pets, which has been really a godsend around here. There are a lot of other topics on Bill's report, but I'm going to stop right there for the supervisor so we can go home tonight. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, and I will be brief as well in consideration of time constraints.
That's long gone.
First, I would like to offer my sincerest condolences to the McPartland family, additionally to the Peretti and Carroll family as well. So on behalf of this town board, myself, and the town in general, we offer our sincerest condolences to these wonderful families. This afternoon, I participated in a very enlightening webinar. I participated in this webinar along with some other municipal leaders. It's about our involvement in our region's renewable energy aggregation program, also known as CCA, or Community Choice Aggregation. Some of the highlights of the webinar included a timeline update and also an education plan that we'll be engaging in. So as part of the necessary steps in the rollout process, this evening we will be voting on an outreach plan and an opt-out letter. And this pertains to the Community Choice Aggregation Plan. I do want to remind everyone that these are still the initial steps in the process, so we still have a way to go. And this town board will not be approving a definitive energy program until approximately mid-May. So we still have some time to make all those considerations together. Subsequent to that definitive energy program being chosen, there will still be a 60-day public education period from mid-May through mid-August. At any point in time, anyone can opt out. So I just want to make that clear, that nothing we do tonight is locking anyone necessarily into anything, and you can always, always, always opt out. This evening, we'll also be considering resolutions to promote 2 of our valued employees in the Water and Sewer Department. Those employees are Ryan Congdon and Josh Walter. We want to thank both of them for being productive members of the team, wish them all the best of luck and success in their new roles. We know they'll do fabulously. And particularly, I would like to thank Ryan Congdon. He is a member of our armed services or armed forces. So we want to thank him not only for his service to the town, but for his service to our nation. So we're very proud of him. We thank him for that. So with that being said, we are going to move on to our resolutions. We're going to begin with Resolution 220-60, sponsored by Supervisor Syed. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution adopting rules of procedures for legislative committees of the town board.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you very much. Is there any discussion?
Yes, I'm going to make a motion to lay this aside until next month. I know there are a few questions, and I know that the comptroller raised something as we were already all sitting here. So I'm going to make a motion to lay this aside.
Motion to table?
Motion to table, excuse me.
Okay.
Yep.
So you have a motion to table. Is there a second on that motion?
I'll second.
Is there any discussion pertaining to the motion to table?
I hope we will be revisiting this. I just think it's a
It will.
great thing to be consistent and accountability, transparency, et cetera, and we can get all our questions answered and move forward with it.
Certainly. So that being said, will the clerk please call the roll on the motion to table?
Councilman Delarada.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jakeworth.
Yes.
Councilwoman McGraw.
Aye.
Supervisor Syed.
Yes.
4 ayes on the motion to table.
On the motion to table, we have 4 ayes, and on the motion, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilman Delarada.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we don't have.
Yeah,
that
we don't.
motion, right?
Yep.
I threw you off. I know. I'll do the wrong thing.
Yep. So that is tabled at this time, and it will reappear at next month's regular town board meeting. So next we have Resolution 2020-61, sponsored by Supervisor Syed. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution making certain budgetary modifications.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilman Delarada.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jakeworth.
Yes.
Councilwoman McGraw.
Aye.
Supervisor Syed?
Yes.
4 ayes.
And this motion passes. Next resolution, 2020-62, sponsored by Supervisor Syed. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution establishing a fee for vendors, peddlers, and solicitors' licenses, applications, and background checks.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second?
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilman Delarada.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jakewith.
Yes.
Councilwoman McGraw.
Aye.
Supervisor Syed.
Yes.
4 ayes.
And this resolution passes. Next resolution, 2020-63, sponsored by Councilwoman Jakewith. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution accepting the extension of bids for materials and services used by the Highway Department in its paving operations.
Thank you. I will second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilman Delarada.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jakewith.
Yes.
Councilwoman McGraw.
Aye.
Supervisor Syed.
Yes.
4 ayes.
And this resolution passes. Next resolution, 2020-64, sponsored by Councilwoman Jakewith. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution accepting quotes for the purchase of seed, mulch, fertilizer, and spreading services.
Thank you. Can I get a second? I will second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilman Delarada.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jakewith.
Yes.
Councilwoman McGraw.
Aye.
Supervisor Syed.
Yes.
4 ayes.
And this resolution passes. Next resolution, 2020-65, sponsored by Councilwoman Jakewith. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution authorizing the supervisor to enter into a contract with Old Saratoga Associates for pond maintenance services at Blatnick Park.
Thank you. I will second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilman Delarada.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jakewith.
Yes.
Councilwoman McGraw.
Aye.
Supervisor Syed.
Yes.
4 ayes.
And this resolution passes. Next resolution, 2020-66, sponsored by Councilwoman Jakewith. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution authorizing the purchase of T-shirts from Halo Brand Solutions.
Thank you. I will second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilman Delarada.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jakewith.
Yes.
Councilwoman McGraw.
Aye.
Supervisor Syed.
Yes.
4 ayes.
And this resolution passes. Next resolution, 2020-67, sponsored by Councilwoman Jakewith and Supervisor Syed. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution appointing members to the Community Farmers Market Committee for 2020.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilman Delarada.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jakewith.
Yes.
Councilwoman McGraw.
Aye.
Supervisor Syed.
Yes.
4 ayes.
And this resolution passes. Next resolution, 2020-68, sponsored by.
I'm sorry, I'm just gonna, this isn't an amendment to this resolution, but it's a suggestion that somebody might want to ask Lisa Weber if she'd like to be on this committee. She certainly put her heart and soul into this effort. It's certainly not an amendment I'm going to make, but somebody might
Yeah,
want to
sure,
talk to Lisa.
suggestion.
She really did a lot on this. I'm surprised not to see her name on the list.
For the record, we just asked the committee to give us a new list.
I didn't think it was that's why I'm not looking to make a big deal out of it.
Yep.
I'm just looking at it now.
I'm sure she'd be welcome, so I'll take care of that.
Great, thank you. Next resolution, 2020-68, sponsored by Councilman Delarada. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution authorizing the supervisor to execute any and all necessary documents for accepting grant monies from the state and municipal facility grant program for River Road Park improvements.
Thank you. I will second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilman Delarada.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jakewith.
Yes.
Councilwoman McGraw.
Aye.
Supervisor Syed.
Yes.
4 ayes.
And this resolution passes. Next resolution, 2020-69, sponsored by Councilman Delarada. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution granting a special use permit for the conversion of a multifamily residential building located at 2220 Crescent Road to a mixed-use building.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion?
I just want to echo all the things that were said today about Gail King's leadership in this community. I own a business. I know how tough it is to own a business and certainly to be a woman business owner. And you you have wonderful friends, but you have a lot of people in this community who look up to you and appreciate you. And you have attended an awful lot of meetings, and you've tried to be as forward-thinking as possible with all of this. And I know that people in the neighborhood appreciate it. Our entire community appreciates it. Obviously, your clients and friends appreciate it. So Gail, thank you very much for your patience with all of this. We've gotten some emails of other folks who couldn't be here tonight who expressed their support of you and this project as well. So again, thank you for your patience, but really thank you for your willingness to be so forward-thinking and think outside of the box on all of these issues. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion?
Would like to echo those thoughts, Ms. King, especially your leadership role that you've played in the proposals that are flying around about refurbishing the co-op and the parking lot and the like, and you've really engaged your other business owners there as well as the community, and I think we've gotten a lot of good ideas as a result. So hopefully you will not only continue what you're doing, but inspire others to take that leadership role as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
Happy to support and wish you the best of luck in your new location.
Thank you. If and when you move to that new location, let us know. We'll all be
I
there for
know.
your ribbon cutting.
We're available for ribbon cuttings. We love them.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilman Delarada.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jakewith.
Yes.
Councilwoman McGraw.
Aye.
Supervisor Syed.
Yes,
4 ayes.
and this resolution passes. Next resolution, 2020-70, sponsored by Councilman Delarada. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution authorizing the supervisor to execute easement agreements related to Schenectady County solar projects.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank
So
you.
I sent an email, and it might have gotten lost in all the roundabout on this,
Mhm.
to sponsor with Assemblyman Delarada 70 and 71.
Okay.
These are just both issues that I've been working on for a long time. So it just may have gotten lost in all of the back and forth on the,
Okay. Can add that.
thank you.
Mick, I noticed that in the paper over the last few days, there have been other discussions about solar projects. And I would just agree with the people who say there should be a little bit of caution about building a lot of solar projects and taking the use of the land away for other purposes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second on 220-70. We will add that Councilwoman McGraw is a co-sponsor. And is there any further discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilman Delarada.
This has been a long time in the making, and Councilwoman McGraw has been right there the whole time, so I'm glad to see you co-sponsor. And I do agree with the comments. We do have to be careful because solar panels do take up a considerable amount of land. So there is the balancing that we do have to do there. But with all that being said, I do support this resolution and will vote yes.
Councilwoman Jakewith.
I'm glad to see us continue our partnership with the county and do appreciate the comments as well. It's good always to take a balanced look. And I'm voting yes.
Councilwoman McGraw.
I am voting yes, and I want to thank Laura Robertson. I want to thank Alexis. I want to thank Paul Briggs. This took an awful lot of work. I mean, this has been going on for more time than I care to admit. But I want to thank our team. I want to thank the county attorney's team, everybody at GE. And I think we really have something here that we can be proud of as a community. And I'm an aye, if I didn't say that already.
Thank you. Supervisor Syed.
Yes,
4 ayes.
and this resolution passes. Next resolution, 2020-71, sponsored by Councilman Delarada and Councilwoman McGraw. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution adopting the Community Choice Aggregation Education and Outreach Plan for the town of Niskayuna and approving the opt-out letter.
Thank you. I will second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilman Delarada.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jakewith.
Yes.
Councilwoman McGraw.
Aye.
Supervisor Syed.
Yes,
4 ayes.
and this resolution passes. Next resolution, 2020-72, sponsored by Councilwoman McGraw. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution authorizing a warrant for the fourth quarter of 2019 corporate utility rents.
Thank you. I will second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilman Delarada.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jakewith.
Yes.
Councilwoman McGraw.
Aye.
Supervisor Syed.
Yes,
4 ayes.
and this resolution passes. Next resolution, 2020-73, sponsored by Councilwoman McGraw. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution authorizing the reconciliation of third quarter of 2019 utility bills.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilman Delarada.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jakewith.
Yes.
Councilwoman McGraw.
Aye.
Supervisor Syed.
Yes,
4 ayes.
and this resolution passes. Next resolution, 2020-74, sponsored by Councilwoman McGraw. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution promoting and appointing a water and sewer maintenance worker.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilman Delarada.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jakewith.
Yes.
Councilwoman McGraw.
Aye.
Supervisor Syed.
Yes,
4 ayes.
and this resolution passes. Next resolution, 2020-75, sponsored by Councilwoman McGraw. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution authorizing the supervisor to enter into a memorandum of agreement with the CSCA Water and Sewer Unit modifying the salary schedule in the collective bargaining agreement.
Thank you. I will second for purposes of further motion.
I think we're moving to.
I'm going to pull
Okay.
my resolution. We have to second it. So thank you. I am now going to make a motion to table this.
Sure. We have a motion to table. Do I have a second on that motion?
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion on the motion to table? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll on the motion to table?
Councilman Delarada.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jakewith.
Yes.
Councilwoman McGraw.
Aye.
Supervisor Syed.
Yes,
4 ayes to table.
and this motion is tabled. Next resolution, 2020-76, sponsored by Councilwoman McGraw. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution promoting and appointing a senior plant operator.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilman Delarada.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jakewith.
Yes.
Councilwoman McGraw.
Aye.
Supervisor Syed.
Yes,
4 ayes.
and this resolution passes. Next resolution, 2020-77, sponsored by Councilman McPartlin. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution enacting local law to amend Chapter 151 of the Code of the Town of Niskuna entitled Peddlers and Solicitors.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilman Delarada.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jakewith.
Yes.
Councilwoman McGraw.
Aye.
Supervisor Syed.
Yes,
4 ayes.
and this resolution passes. Next resolution, 2020-78, sponsored by Councilman McPartlin. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution enacting a local law to amend Chapter 203 of the Code of the Town of Niskuna entitled Vehicles and Traffic to prohibit parking on the corner of Schwaber Drive and Balltown Road.
Thank you. I will second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilman Delarada.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jakewith.
Yes.
Councilwoman McGraw.
Aye.
Supervisor Syed.
Yeah. McPartlin, will the clerk please read?
A resolution authorizing the supervisor to enter into an agreement with Niskuna Central School District for temporary sheltering of students and staff at Town Hall during emergency situations.
Thank you. I will second. Is there any discussion?
Yes, Supervisor. I'm currently a sitting school board member, and I've consulted with town attorneys Paul Briggs and Alexis Kim, and have been advised that there's no conflict to preclude either the contract or my voting on it. Obviously, there's no pecuniary benefit to me in either agreement, and both agreements serve the public interest, common goal for both the town and the school district.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilman Delarada.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jakewith.
Yes.
Councilwoman McGraw.
Aye.
Supervisor Syed.
Yes,
4 ayes.
and this resolution passes. Next resolution, 2020-80, sponsored by Councilman McPartlin. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution authorizing the chief of police and supervisor to enter into an agreement with the Niskuna Central School District for access to the school district's security cameras during emergency situations.
Thank you. I will second. Is there any discussion?
Same comment here.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion?
I believe most of this is in response to the last event at Niskuna High School where there was a possible emergency or a active, not necessarily a shooter, but an incident. So in light of that, I think this is something that hopefully will alleviate some of the things that were happening there over several hours while the police were trying to figure out what was going on. And hopefully this will at least alleviate some of that. I don't know if there's any more that we can do, but it does seem to be steps in the right direction.
John, it's actually required by state and federal law. They have to have a location, so it will serve that purpose, but it's actually a requirement.
Is that new this year? Or is
I
it
don't
been-
know. I just know that they're required. The school district is entering into agreements with a number of other locations at JCC, other, shelters that is required by state and federal law. So,
Makes sense.
yeah.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilman Delarada.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jakewith.
Yes.
Councilwoman McGraw.
Aye.
Supervisor Syed.
Yes,
4 ayes.
and this resolution passes. Next resolution, 2020-81, sponsored by Councilman McPartlin. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution authorizing the supervisor to enter into an agreement with Schenectady County for participation in the New York State Special Traffic Options Program for driving while intoxicated.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
Second?
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilman Delarada.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jakewith.
Yes.
Councilwoman McGraw.
Aye.
Supervisor Syed.
Yes,
4 ayes.
and this resolution passes. Next resolution, 2020-82, sponsored by Councilwoman McGraw. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution authorizing the supervisor to execute a purchase and sale agreement for 2890 River Road pursuant to the town's right of first refusal.
Thank you. Can I get a second? I will second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilman Delarada.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jakewith.
Yes.
Councilwoman McGraw.
Aye.
Supervisor Syed.
Yes,
4 ayes.
and this resolution passes. Before I make a motion to adjourn, I'm going to motion to enter into executive session pursuant to Public Officers Law, Section 105, subsection F, to discuss matters that will necessarily lead to the appointment, employment, promotion, demotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, or removal of a particular person. If I could have a second on that motion.
Second?
Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? We're now going to enter into executive session. At the conclusion of executive session, I will motion to adjourn. We will not take up any further business this evening.